Okay, I'm going to try to stay out of the camera, but you need a couple of 1/8" dowels. They can be a little, I mean, they don't have to be exact and they don't have to be real strong. These are a 1/2 inch because that's what the only ones I have. On my PVC loom, I used 3/8 inch dowels, but I think these are going to be strong enough. If not, it's going to be really easy to change them out because we just loop them on with the Texsolv. But I want to cut them just a tad shorter than this, I guess you call it. There's one in the back, it's the warp beam, and the one in the front's the cloth. And but I don't want it to rub on the edges there, so just a tad shorter than this. And I'm going to go cut these, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut all these off. And I have a bunch of scraps of Texsolv left over from something else, so I'm not going to cut them until I get the rod put in there. And then I can tell you what measurement to use. So I'm going to try to use up what I have. But basically, you want them probably the same length that they've got them here, because when you've got your when you're tying on the front, you want it to reach about like that. So we're going to have, what's going to happen is our dowel is going to be right here. But the way they had it, there was an extra little piece that went through here, so it was basically about this close, about halfway, a little less than halfway across this opening here. So I'm going to go ahead and get a few of these threaded on. So let me get this cut off. Alright, I've already got one of these on here because where I was putting my video was not showing everything. So how I got that in there is you just thread your 1/8 inch dowel into one of the holes on all of your Texsolv pieces. And if I hadn't already mentioned, I cut them about 15 inches for the front. Now you'll want to measure the back so that you can get as much weaving as you can at the back of the machine. So I won't cut those until I measure the back. So I'm going to go ahead and thread all of my Texsolv onto my 1/8 inch dowel, and then I'm going to push the other end of the Texsolv through these holes to the other side, and the 1/8 inch dowel is going to hold all those Texsolv pieces in place. So you don't really need a strong dowel. I have used the metal ones. I usually use whatever I have laying around the house. But these wooden dowels have worked really good on another project, the PVC loom that I made, and they're plenty strong enough to hold these Texsolv pieces in place. Alright, so I've got all my strings put on, so my Texsolv. So if you can just push them through, if they're not too wonky, you can just kind of put them through. Or you can use an orifice threader. This one's for my spinning wheel. My daughter-in-law bought this one for me. I really like it. But you just start threading them on, and it's not that hard to do. And it'll secure this dowel on here once there's enough tension on it, so I can just use my threader if I need to. I'll go from the other side. And I want to say that when you're tying these on, just be consistent so that they're all going to hang the same way. So I'll just pull that through. So I'm going to continue on securing the rest of these in each hole, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've already got some of these done. I threaded all of my Texsolv through my 1/8 inch dowel, and I've got my measurements done. And I created a loop on the bottom to thread my, I keep forgetting what you call these, apron rod, I guess, on there. And so I know that I need 26 holes down so that they'll all hang at the same length. So I'm going to start at the, you know, the Texsolv has these holes in there. So I'm going to start at the one that's just peeking out of that beam and I counted 26 down. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, then you just open it up. You make a little fold in your Texsolv, and you poke that little fold through to make a loop. So that fold is going to become my loop to put my dowel in. So I'm just going to thread my dowel through that loop and tighten it up. And I've already got these started. So I'm going to put those on. So it should hang evenly once you get all the cords situated on there where they hang straight from the top there. And it should hang level. And you can also take some little rubber bands and put on the ends to keep this from sliding off, which is what I did on my PVC loom. And all this extra stuff can be trimmed down. Just don't cut it too close because they can unravel. So I'll make sure I have all of this in the camera, but your apron rod would just go over the top. Let's see if I can lock that in there. It would go over the top for your weaving, your warp, like that. And you'll do the exact same thing on the back of the loom, except for you're going to need to measure from the heddles to where you want your apron rod to come around to the beam on the bottom. So they may be a little bit longer in the back, I'm not sure, but it's best to measure before you cut your Texsolv.